When you take a look at the billionaires list, you'll see tech moguls, innovative geniuses, real estate tycoons, business magnates, and then there's regular old Warren Buffett. But here's why the simple man from Nebraska tops all of his peers. Starting off, Warren Buffett is likely the most simple and modest mega billionaire. To this day, Warren Buffett lives in a house that he bought way back in 1958 for $31,500, or about $276,000 today. Since then, the house has appreciated to $650,000, but that's actually still less than the median house price in California. Similarly, he drives a very modest Cadillac XTS, which he bought in 2014 for $45,000. Aside from this, the guy actually really enjoys eating at McDonald's. Really, the only extravagant purchase you can find relating to Warren Buffett is his private jet, which he originally named the Indefensible, as he believed that the price-to-value ratio was extremely not worth it. Nonetheless, he did go ahead with the purchase, and it does seem like it's grown on him since, as he now calls his private jet the Indispensable. Anyways, aside from that, Warren Buffett is still the most frugal mega billionaire when it comes to day-to-day life, as a private jet is not something he uses on a daily basis. This is very surprising, as though there are also other top billionaires who live well below their means, they always have a sweet tooth for one toy or another, whether a $100 million mansion or an expensive car collection. But not only is Warren Buffett modest when it comes to his own life, he is extraordinarily generous when it comes to philanthropy. Recently, Forbes released what they call an Enhanced Philanthropy 400 score. Essentially, it rates each billionaire's philanthropy on a scale from 1 to 10, based on how much they have given, and where they donated to. And the highest philanthropy score Forbes has given out is a 5 out of 10, and only 10 billionaires received this score. Surprisingly, Warren Buffett is the richest billionaire by far to receive a 5 out of 10. The second wealthiest billionaire to receive such a score was Gordon and Betty Moore, who boast a fortune of $10.3 billion. To put this in perspective, Mark Zuckerberg has a philanthropy score of 2, while Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk actually have a philanthropy score of 1. Even Bill Gates slightly falls short of Warren Buffett with a philanthropy score of 4. Since 2006, Warren Buffett has donated a very generous $37 billion. In fact, Warren Buffett would have $123 billion today if you factor in the amount he has given away. The only billionaire who beats him out numerically is Bill Gates, who has donated $45.5 billion. Looking forward, Warren Buffett has no plans to rein in his philanthropy whatsoever. Warren Buffett wants 90% of his wealth converted into index fund holdings at the time of his death, and then he wants 99% of his wealth donated to charity, with most of it going towards the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Anyways, being extremely modest and charitable are great personality traits, but that doesn't help one in actually becoming a billionaire in the first place. That requires a whole another subset of skills and traits, which Warren Buffett also excels in. Here's the thing, most billionaires rely on a very concentrated portfolio with 1, maybe 2 companies, and they try to compound the holding as fast as possible through innovation and disruption. This is basically the case with everyone at the top except Warren Buffett, as he made his money through investing as opposed to growing his own company. Of course, it could be argued that Berkshire Hathaway is the company that Warren Buffett grew, but Berkshire Hathaway is really just a holding company and serves no function by itself. In fact, if you look up how many employees Berkshire Hathaway has, you'll see a massive 391,500 employees. However, this number is misleading, as that includes all of the employees that work in Berkshire Hathaway's holdings. If we take a closer look at how many people actually work at Berkshire Hathaway corporate headquarters, we'll see that it's a very minimal 25 individuals. Their staff is so small that everyone can fit into a traditional landscape photo. With that being said, Warren Buffett has been hands-on with his investments from the very beginning, and he's been able to maintain steady growth for decades upon decades upon decades. Berkshire Hathaway has produced an astounding average 20.5% annual return since 1965. This means that on average, Warren Buffett has been able to double his money every 4 years for 55 years. To put that in perspective, let's compare it with the S&P 500. If you put in $1,000 into the S&P 500 in 1965, you would have a solid $200,000 today, which is a nice 200x return. If you bet $1,000 on Warren Buffett in 1965, however, you wouldn't have 2 million or 5 million or even 10 million, but rather 27 million. In other words, your money would have grown 27,000x. At that rate, putting in just 40k would have made you a billionaire today. Over the past couple of years, Berkshire Hathaway has struggled to beat the market, but this isn't because Warren Buffett lost his touch or anything like that. Rather, Berkshire Hathaway has grown so large, standing at over $500 billion today, that they're essentially the market themselves. With that being said, when we're looking at wealth accumulation and growth skills, Warren Buffett tramples his fellow billionaires by far. After all, Warren Buffett has maintained an average 20.5% growth rate for longer than the entire lifespans of Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Page, and Sergey Brin. Even Jeff Bezos is only 1 year older than Buffett's growth streak. So, if you were going to bet on who would be most successful at replicating their results from zero, Warren Buffett would likely be the safest bet. Moving on, we have a crystal clean track record. The companies of everyone at the top have received several black marks from the public. Apple is greedy, profit-hungry pigs. Microsoft has a notorious history with copying software. Facebook and Google sell personal information. And all energy and manufacturing companies pollute the environment. Meanwhile, Berkshire Hathaway doesn't really have a black spot for things such as labor exploitation or meager pay. Of course, they have invested in companies with some of these black marks, but for the most part, Berkshire Hathaway's investments are very non-offensive. This is because generally, Warren Buffett stays away from tech stocks and revolutionary companies other than Apple. Growth stocks aren't Warren Buffett's favorite, and he has found most of his success within value stocks. And the thing is, value stocks are generally stocks of companies that we use and see on a daily basis, and though we may very well enjoy their products, we don't have an overly positive or negative attitude towards the brand. Companies like Coca-Cola, American Express, Visa, Kraft Heinz, Costco, and Procter & Gamble. Warren Buffett has stakes in all of these companies and many more like them. Evidently, most of Warren Buffett's investments lay in everyday brands that we don't really hate or love, which makes his wealth uncontroversial for the most part. Next up, Warren Buffett has always been open with all of his investments, his wealth, and his gratefulness. Warren Buffett has often bragged that he pays a lower tax rate than his secretary. But this isn't some sort of secret operation. Warren Buffett publicly releases his tax returns on a regular basis and encourages everyone to look into his tax returns and see if they can find any flaws with them. Aside from this, Warren Buffett is very aware of advantages that he may have had as he grew up, and he often attributes a lot of his success to these favorable circumstances. Anyways, finally, the last major reason that Warren Buffett is the king of them all is because he leaves a legacy and a path that his followers can replicate for themselves. All investors know Warren Buffett's 2 rules of investing, which are number 1, never lose money, and number 2, never forget rule number 1. Similarly, he has many other famous stock investing lessons as well, such as, it's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. He even has 4 full books detailing his investment journey, which many people have been replicating for decades and will continue to do so moving forward. Now, of course, these individuals aren't all billionaires like Warren Buffett, but that's not really the criteria to determine whether or not following the same investment philosophy was successful. Sure, the average value investor following Warren Buffett's advice likely will not receive a 27,000x return, but what about a tenth of that, or even a hundredth of that? In the end, Warren Buffett's investing philosophies can be applied by the average person to get at least decent results. Unfortunately, this is not the same case with other billionaires. Elon Musk always preaches the importance of hard work, and he's absolutely right. But the truth is, working 22 hours a day is likely not going to lead to you launching a rocket in 20 years. And dropping out of Harvard isn't going to result in Microsoft or Facebook 2.0. As a result, though innovators like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs are admirable and inspirational from a distance, their journeys are not very applicable to our personal lives. With Warren Buffett, on the other hand, though his principles are again unlikely to land you a spot as one of the greatest investors of all time, they are likely to help you grow your own personal fortune to multiple millions, if not tens of millions. At the end of the day, Warren Buffett is the most modest of the billionaires, one of the most charitable of the billionaires, has by far the longest track record amongst billionaires, is one of the most moral and transparent billionaires, and his legacy is the most applicable to the average person. And that's why I believe he's the billionaire to follow. Do you guys admire Warren Buffett? Comment that down below. Also, drop a like if you guys will be using his principles to grow your own fortune. And of course, consider joining our Discord community to suggest future video ideas, and consider subscribing to see more questions logically answered. But until then, I'm Hari, and I'll see you guys on the next one.